Good morning here from Los Angeles. Valerie Milano, the senior editor of the Hollywood Times, and I'm also with Aspiring Magazine, and I'm so glad to have our guest here today. I'm going to have him introduce himself. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, yeah, thank you for having me, Valerie. I'm Stephen Carruthers. I'm a producer and director based in London, in the UK. I'm originally from Manchester, and I directed a short film called Space Daddy, that's screening at the Hollywood Queer Short Film Festival.
Beautiful. Thanks again, Stephen, and congratulations on Space Daddy. For
Thank
those who
you.
haven't, yeah, for those who haven't seen it yet, how would you describe the film in your own words?
I would say it's a camp and absurd comedy about a hookup with some unexpected consequences.
Okay, I like that. That's right to the point. I love it. Um, And so, what was sparked the idea for this absurd, out of this world comedy? Was there a particular moment or story that inspired it?
So it was my friend and colleague Joe Jordan. He wrote the script during lockdown. Um, it's very loosely based on real life events. Um, But for those who get to see the film, they'll realize that is quite loosely. But the basic premise was Joe having had spent an evening with someone and got super sick afterwards, basically, and kind of spent the week in a kind of fever dream-ish state, and kind of came up with the idea for the film and wrote it super quickly. And it kind of sat in his drawer for a few years until we were talking about making a film together, and he just pulled the script out of this drawer and asked if I thought we should make it. And so we did.
So, Space Daddy pokes fun at our self-destructive tendencies. How did you
Mhm.
decide to explore that through comedy rather than a darker lens?
Sure. So I think, I mean, firstly, as I said, the script was already written when Joe gave it to me. So the comedy was already very much in it. And just for me as an audience, when I watch films, I enjoy films that do that. I enjoy films that kind of like ridicule and in the UK we say take the piss a little bit. Um, And I think especially with the kind of self-destructive side that some, particularly gay men, but queer people in general, also just people in general that we can have in regards to like relationships and sex and dates, and it's a very kind of tricky road to try and navigate. Um, that it felt important to allow that to be funny and to be comedic because in queer film, especially, a lot of it can be quite heavy and quite sad. It can be a lot about like inner turmoil and battles and challenges and that's all super important for films. But the last few years has been quite a refreshing movement away from that. Films like Bottoms, for example, I don't know if you got to see that in 2022, I think that was. Um, but funny films, silly films, films of lots of different genres that explore lots of different themes that just feature queer people. I think we wanted to contribute something to that, and I think Space Daddy was a good way to do that.
Okay. So the film premiered at Frameline in San Francisco, from my understanding. What was that experience like, and how did audiences respond compared to what you imagined?
Frameline was like a real pinch me moment for all of us. I went a few years ago originally. Um, and I loved it. I had a film that I produced playing there. And it was like immediately one of my favorite film festivals, just like the selection of different films that they have. And so that was one of my top festivals that I wanted to get into with Space Daddy. So kind of getting that confirmation email from them was amazing, you know. And then we got to actually go over there. Um, and yeah, like you said, it was the premiere, it was the first screening, and we from really mine and Joe's first conversations about this film, we were always a little bit in two minds because we just didn't know where a film like this would belong. Um, and and so it was really I mean, I'm not even sure what word to use, but it was just really amazing to have it actually play on like a big screen as part of the biggest queer film festival and the oldest queer film festival in the world, and have people laugh and enjoy it and come up to us at the end and tell us how much they enjoyed it and they wanted to talk about it. And yeah, it was a first for a lot of us. Joe has been writing since he was 8 years old, but this is the first film that he had written that's played in a festival. I work in production. I'm a producer usually, and I've wanted to direct for a while. This is the first short film that I directed, and that was the first screening, and it was yeah,
Yeah.
10 out of 10 really.
So speaking of that, as a short film director, what were some of the biggest challenges of production, whether budget, casting, or
Mm.
just pulling off the spacey elements of the story?
Yeah, so it was definitely overall quite challenging. So yeah, I mean, really, all three of those that you just suggested, I
Mm,
would say were pretty challenging. So casting, because so the for anyone who won't have seen it just yet, the kind of backbone of the story is two friends in a cafe, Andy and Ruby, and Andy is recounting the events of the last week to Ruby, who's his best friend, and we cut uh, back to the story world and back to the cafe in these flashback scenes throughout the whole film. And so finding an actor to play Andy was, we just needed someone who was super engaging, who knew how to tell a story, who would make the audience feel like they were sat in the cafe with this person and were getting, all the details and all the gossip of this like crazy week that his best friends had. We wanted the audience to just become like more and more engrossed in it. And that was really challenging. Obviously, with a short film, you've got limited resources. We put ads out online. We contacted some of the London drama schools, tried to find some alum from there, and really that came from Noah Thomas, who plays Andy. He had a recurring role on a Netflix show called Everything Now. And in his first scene, he is on the back of the bus with his friends, and he's telling them a story, um, kind of like gossiping about something that's happened to him. And I showed it to Joe, and I said, "This is the guy. We
love
have
it.
to reach out. We have to find his agents," and we did. And he loved the script and came on board. So that when it did all come together, it was great, but that was worrying for quite a long period of time because we didn't want to cast anyone else in it until we had our main actor. And yeah, budget, I mean, we definitely went over by quite a bit. There was quite a bit that we had to do with VFX in the end, with some 3D models, which I won't give too much details about because I can't without giving away the story.
Yeah.
Um, and Yeah, I mean, we had to find a location that in the script was described as Elon Musk's Barbie dream house. So I will say this was obviously written before Elon Musk became involved in politics.
Yeah.
But the idea was this kind of huge tech billionaire Barbie dream house. And we obviously did not have the budget for that, but what we did find was a very interesting house, really just down the road from where me and Joe live in Hackney in London. And it was built by an architect and it had its own website that was basically just this big black box with one window in it. And it was perfect
Good.
because it stood out from its surroundings. It looked like it was just kind of placed there from outer space.
Yeah.
Um, and and yeah, and then oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't talk about the other thing without giving it away. So
Yeah. It did seem like your cast brought over the top energy while still keeping it grounded enough to keep the audience connected. So the central hookup in the film leads to some pretty wild consequences. What did you want to say about relationships, intimacy, or human
Mhm.
behavior through this outrageous setup?
Sure. So I think where we got to, it was basically about self-forgiveness and just acceptance of the rate that we grow at. With again, I think particularly gay men, queer people as well, just in general. There's an experience of delayed adolescence. We don't get to grow up as teenagers in school and experiment with dating and love and romance and sex. A lot of this can happen later on in life. And Andy is a character, he's in his mid 20s. And it's very common for us, for everyone in general, but again, it is a particular thing that queer people talk about and are aware of that we kind of figure all of this stuff out quite a lot later in life. And that means that throughout our 20s, when maybe our straight friends are finding people, are settling down more, it's happening a little bit later on in life now. But, generally, you can kind of see the people around you build these lives for themselves that don't seem to be coming so easily to you. Um, and And so we wanted the friendship between Andy and Ruby to be super supportive and super accepting because Andy himself is very much on this journey still. He's very much making mistakes. He's very much doing silly things. He's not really looking out for his best interests and isn't super aware of that. He's just having a good time. And Ruby, as his best friend, is someone who very much cares about him and who wants the best for him, um, but is also completely non-judgmental. She is slightly more astute than him and might kind of point things out to him, but really is she's along for the ride. She kind of wants to hear these stories and she'll just support him and help him through it. And I think that's what we wanted the film to be about because to experience that in real life can feel quite disheartening a lot of the time and can feel quite difficult. Um, and and really, we just wanted to say that it's okay, and we did that in a very silly way. But I think that shines through in their relationship, um, in their dialogue and in their chemistry between each other. And I think the actors had great chemistry, and I feel like it really worked. So I
Yeah.
hope other people do.
So, Stephen, finally, if a
Mhm.
real space daddy showed up at your door, would you invite him in or run the other way?
You know, that's a great question. I very much relate to Andy's character.
Okay.
That's why I think I connected to the script and wanted to make it. So I would love to say that I would run away, but you know what? Maybe I wouldn't.
Gotcha. So, how can our readers and our viewers find out more about the film or about you and maybe anything else you're working on?
Yeah, great. So the film has an Instagram account. It's at Space Daddy Short. That's short with a T at the end. Sorry, that's my English accent.
Okay.
Um, Also, I'm on Instagram at Stephen_Carruthers. We will be posting some more updates with festivals and stuff from there. And we also had an original song made by our friend Ella. The song is called Space Baddie, sorry. And that's going to be on Spotify. So if you watch the film and if you like the song, it's a very fun um, little dance pop song. Um, then we'll be posting about that as well. And yeah, me and Joe, we have some things in the works as well. So when we're ready, we'll be posting some updates on that too.
Beautiful, Stephen. Thank you for your time and this creative project you have here. We're the Hollywood Times dot today. Our YouTube channel is the Hollywood Times Official, and it's a pleasure to meet you virtually, and maybe we'll meet in person one day. Thank you
Yeah, I
again,
hope so.
Stephen. All right. Have
Thank
a
you.
great rest of your career.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye-bye.